Hello everybody. Welcome to this Wednesday stream. How are you doing? How is your Wednesday? I'm really glad to see you here. Today we're gonna discuss infinitely better ways to learn programming. It's not gonna be focused on some particular programming technology, rather on some approaches that would help you become more efficient with it. Oh, hi Matt. Yeah, right, exactly. That's actually one of the things that I'm going to be talking about later in this stream. But let's begin. I'm going to talk a little bit about myself. To people who don't know me, my name is Maxim. I've been a software developer for over 12 years now. I started with ActionScript. Does anybody remember this ancient technology? Yeah, quite a while ago, when JavaScript wasn't so powerful and there was no HTML5, web browser games were made using ActionScript, and I was doing tycoon-style games for Facebook. Then I had to switch to mobile development, and I had to learn Objective-C and C++. Then I went to EdTech educational startup, and there I used Python. And then I went to a freelancing platform, and I was developing using Ruby and Ruby on Rails there. And then I joined the Battlefield 5 team, and there we used React and TypeScript. And since then, I was mostly using React and TypeScript at work. And as you can see, it's quite a few different technologies that I had to learn. Hi, Just. Nice to see you here. And I had to learn a bunch of technologies, and this also made me quite passionate about learning how to learn efficiently. So I think it's a really interesting topic. And by the way, please write in the comments, what are you learning right now? Or if you are not learning anything, please write what would you like to learn. For example, at the moment, I'm in the process of learning Clojure, the language, and Nix, both the package manager and operating system. And for this reason, I actually installed Nix OS on my spare MacBook. So I'm really eager to see what are you learning, or what do you want to learn? What kind of technology? Learning Nest.js. Okay, that's a TypeScript-based backend framework, if I remember correctly, if it's Nest.js. Yeah. Learning is tricky. In my opinion, I like to think about this way. It has two parts. It has building the right mental model, or developing your ability to simulate the system you're working with in your head. Be able to imagine how different parts come together, how do they interact, what kind of behavior can you expect. And the second part is syntax and habits. That's more mechanical part of this skill. It's where you know what exactly to type. Your fingers remember that. And also when you read, you just automatically understand what you're reading, knowing the syntax. And syntax and habits, they just develop over time. It's good to put in some deliberate practice, but I don't think that, for example, let's say you're learning Git. Typing in git commit 1,000 times is very wasteful. It's pointless. And I think that syntax and habits are sort of secondary. They will come anyway. And I would put most of my focus into building the mental models. Some compact mental models that would allow me to reason about the tool I'm using. It can be a language, it can be a framework, or a tool, like with Git, for example. If I know how to imagine how it works, it would help me make the right decisions, and it would actually guide me through the actions that I need to do to work with this tool. And what kind of tools do you have available to you right now? Let's say you're a beginner. Let's use React as an example. What kind of tools for learning would you have if you would start learning React today? Doesn't matter if you already know it. First of all, like with any other tool publicly available, you would have the official resources, official documentation. And usually it consists of two parts. It's an API reference and a set of small tutorials to get you started. And the API reference usually is not very useful for a beginner because you don't really have any, you don't have any base to stick the new knowledge to. If you just start by reading all the whole API reference, first of all, you'll likely get very, very bored. And even if you push through it, even if you manage to read the whole API reference, I don't think it's going to stick for long. I think you'll forget it in a day or two. And the next part is tutorials. They are a lot more useful for beginners. And I think it's a great idea to go through them if you're starting to learn a new technology. For example, with Clojure, I'm using Beef framework. And the first thing I did, I went through the official tutorial. And it helped me put things into some structure. Helped me start imagining how it works. I knew cause and effect. How do different parts interact with each other? What can I expect? How does it feel like to work with this technology? But usually those tutorials, they are very small. And they're small for a reason. Actually, for a bunch of reasons. First one is they need to be of a manageable size so that you can quickly finish them. Another reason is that they want to be focusing on some particular aspect often. But this brings a problem. When you work with a small example, a small tutorial, everything is very easy. It's very hard to stumble upon some problem. For example, React context. I'm bringing up React because I'm working with it at the moment. This is why it comes to mind so easily. So with context, usually all examples would contain one component that needs some data and the context that would wrap it and provide the data to this component. But no one would ever use the context API in React this way. You would always use it if you have a huge tree and you have some deeply nested components that need some shared piece of data somewhere deep down in the tree. There are a bunch of different components that need this data. Imagine a tutorial that would include a few hundred components, several levels of nesting, just for the sake of illustrating, yeah, here is how you use it, you need a bunch of layers of complexity. This would be very distracting. This is why usually it's going to be very limited. And the problem it brings is that you won't face the problems that you would in a real application. That's a huge limitation. I think I saw at least three different occasions, different articles, Twitter posts about using the useEffect hook in React. React team is trying to explain to everyone how to use it correctly, and the reason they have to do it is because all the examples in the documentation are very, very small, very, very limited, and they're not based on a real use case. So people struggle understanding how it actually is supposed to be used. Next, after the official documentation, we have third-party tutorials, and that's articles, videos, TikToks, different formats. It really comes to two different kinds of tutorials, whatever the medium is. It's how-tos and pretty much courses. It can be mini courses, crash courses, usually free. How-tos, I like this format of educational materials. Usually they become, they're most useful after you've already started to work on some project and you begin to encounter problems, struggle with different features that you don't know how to use. So you have a specific question, you come to YouTube, Stack Overflow, Quora, whatever, you know the question you're looking the answer for, and you get a small tutorial that explains a particular, very, very niche way of using this technology. And then the free courses, they're courses. Usually a good one would contain a block of theory and then some final project that everything will build up to. And in the end of this course, if you follow it along, you will get some nice application, something like Netflix clone or Twitter clone or YouTube clone. And that's actually quite good if the course is done this way, because it provides you with some extra motivation. Because this project that you end up with, you can, for example, be able to use it in your portfolio, or maybe it's close enough to your pet project and you can use big chunks of new skills and knowledge that you got in this course to build your own project if you already have one. The problem with both of those, how-tos and free courses, especially when they're in video format, is that, first of all, they get outdated. It's very hard to support video courses. I have a bunch of video tutorials on my YouTube channel, and actually, unfortunately, at this point, a lot of them outdated. I tried to come up with different strategies of updating them. For example, I had a video about using React Hook forms. It got outdated because there was a new library version with breaking changes. So what I did, I published a new video, and on the old one, because it was still getting views, I've added a link to the new one and changed the title so that it would say, outdated, please see the new tutorial. But also just updating the course when the new version of the library or framework is released is quite expensive in terms of time and other resources, because you have to, very likely, you will have to re-record everything, then re-edit everything, and then publish it again. And that's why a lot of instructors just don't do it, just because it's expensive. So unfortunately, a lot of video tutorials get outdated. Another problem is that when you go through free how-tos, free courses, any other free materials, no one is really responsible for what you're getting. You get no guarantees. If you get outdated material, if you get just straight out wrong material with mistakes in it, you can't really you can complain, but it won't give you anything. You can go into the comment section and say, oh, hey, your course is broken. Sorry, whatever. But there are also paid courses where there is a person getting money from you, and in return, this person promises that the course will be up to date, hopefully, or at least you won't be blocked by it being broken. And if you get stuck, you will likely get some form of support. But still, it's fundamentally, as it is video material, it has the same problems as how-tos on YouTube and free courses on YouTube, all the same, because updating it is very, very expensive. Another problem that is common with paid courses, free courses, and how-tos, actually less with how-tos, because usually you already have an intent. You go to watch the how-to video to solve some problem at hand. So it's more about the free and paid courses, is that it's very tempting to just watch them and do nothing. You're kind of supposed to follow along, but it feels sort of as good to just hit the play button and feel nice that you're learning, you're watching the tutorial. And the problem with that is, of course, it's much less efficient than practice. So what I usually do, how I like to approach learning new technology, I like to start with a project so that I can use it as a basis and main motivation to dig and look for the information that I need, and maybe watch the tutorials and maybe read the books or articles after I've started with the project. So my current project is, as I said, I'm now learning to use Nix, the OS, and also the package manager. So I installed it on my spare MacBook. And also I'm learning Clojure. And to learn Clojure, I'm building a learning platform that I'm going to show in a minute. And this approach lets me remember everything better. I don't have to come up with some reminder system to remind myself that I need to practice this Clojure skill today, or I need to practice with NixOS, I need to read some more articles. No, I'm in the process of working with this project, so it's part of my life. I'm using this. Actually, I'm quite happy that now it's at the point where I can use this NixOS computer quite comfortably. I've set it up so that it doesn't annoy me, and I can use it half of the day, and it allows me to practice more efficiently. So there is also some extra motivation. I know that if I learn this technology better, if I put in a little bit more effort today, maybe already today in a few hours, my experience with this computer is going to be better, or it's going to be easier to work with my new project. You see what I mean? You get some extra bonuses along the way. It's not just you're learning for the sake of learning. As an opposite example, if you start from simple tutorials in the documentation, it's likely going to be something like a to-do application. How many to-do applications will you be able to write until it will bore you to death? I think, I don't know, maybe a dozen if you're very persistent. So I like to focus on some project, have something that I feel is valuable. Okay, I'm going to look at some comments. That's exactly what I'm doing right now with the video side. I tagged you in. Creating stats tracking and new design dashboard with Tremor, SHA-DSN, and TinyBird. Very, very interesting. And yeah, that's an awesome approach. Actually, a question about your service video site. Does it work based on iframes? And does it only support videos? I'm gonna show why I'm asking in a second. So yeah, I totally agree with this approach, project-based. I use it myself. But it is not really a shortcut. That's the hard way to learn stuff. The main reason for it cannot be a shortcut is because it's very easy to get stuck. If you're just starting out with the new technology and you immediately dive in and start working on a project, there is a very big chance that you will face some problem that you won't be able to solve, maybe for a day, maybe for a couple of days. So it's very efficient. It's very good because by struggling with this problem, it's a good kind of struggle. It's the kind of struggle that will help you understand the system better and remember it better. But it requires time. What would be a shortcut is, I think, something that would get you through the initial blank slate phase where you don't know where to begin. You're just contemplating, should I just read the whole reference API or maybe not? Get you through this phase where you are kind of clueless about this technology. It would be project-based, hopefully with something realistic that you can use somehow, maybe at least as a part of your portfolio. And then it would be very frugal with your energy and attention. Because those two resources, at least for me, I really struggle with my attention. I'm very easily distracted, and my energy levels. So I don't really like to waste them. So if I have to perform some action that doesn't bring value on itself, like switching windows, if it requires me to press too many buttons, I will easily get annoyed. And one of the problems as I see it with courses, if they are practice-based, which is good, but the flow is going to include switching between the video, text below the video, and maybe some code example repository. That's a lot of switching where you will have to remind yourself, I'm currently in the process of watching this tutorial. Now I have to copy the code or retype the code from the video if there is no text for it. And you switch back and forth between the editor and the video and maybe some other resources. So this frugality, I think, is very important. So the shortcut that I imagine could be very, very useful. It's a new technology. that makes video tutorials obsolete. As you can see, it looks like a regular video, which it's not. It's really a React application. And what it allows me to do is I can just play it like a regular video. It can have slides like the one that I've shown you, but this one is a link. So now if the tutorial is about learning Node.js, and the first step is to make sure you have it installed on your machine, instead of saying, now close the video, go to this website and download the installer, you can just click on it. I'm going to open it in the new tab just so that the video doesn't close. Download it, install it, and proceed with the video, with the lesson. I think it's a lot less intrusive. It's a lot less disruptive. It's more likely to keep you in the flow of learning. Now, if I continue, it can have images, and now you can select this text. Echo, what an exciting feature. Now you can just copy it, paste it in the terminal, and that's it. You don't have to retype it. You don't have to close the video and look for this code example in the transcript, if the course includes transcript in the first place. Much less disruptive again. It also can have hints. For example, here I'm trying to simulate how would it look like if I would be showing this code in this video, and let's say you don't know what the echo command does. It displays text in the console. Terminal commands can also be multi-line. But the most important part are the code examples. Here, you see that the code is being typed into this window. I can scroll back and forth, but also I can just select this code and copy it into some code sandbox. But even this is not really needed because in a second you'll see that it pauses automatically. That's another important feature. A video that knows when to pause so that you don't have to do it yourself. So cool, is it open source? Yes, and the basis for it, I didn't really do the scrubbing thing, the video interface. It's actually based on Liquid.js. Liquid.js. You will see that the interface of the code examples there is a little bit different. But it's pretty much the same. Yeah, so examples look different. So I made some styling for that. It's called Liquid. Yeah, it can pause automatically. And then before this pause, the instructor can say, hey, now the video will pause. Please copy the code example and paste it into the code editor. After this is done, you can actually have playgrounds embedded into the video. Wow, is it real? And then here a question mark. And then we press run. And this is actually a React application. The most exciting part for me about the whole thing is that really it's not limited to front-end technologies. It doesn't have to be React. It doesn't have to be JavaScript, HTML, CSS. Nowadays, browsers can execute Node.js code. There is Web Containers protocol. And also there is a Unix machine JS-based, I mean, not really JS-based, WASM-based emulators. So theoretically, it can be any language, which I think is really exciting. At the moment, the platform supports JavaScript, TypeScript, and Python. I imagine that adding Node.js support would be really, really awesome and possible, because I saw examples of web containers hosting Node application based on Next.js on Node Web Containers website. And then not only it allows to create these interactive playgrounds, but also you can do inquiry-based experiences. For example, imagine we are creating a new project using Vite. It's a bundler for frontend based on React. Oh, not only React, actually any frontend. It's a bundler and it has a scaffolding CLI tool. So it can generate you a project. In this case, it's a React project. The video explaining how this project structure is organized, I imagine would be quite boring. You would have to list all the files and it would be quite wasteful. Instead, the video could stop here and you could read explanations by clicking on the files. I think it's much better because you stay engaged. You don't have to. It's not that you don't have to. You just don't watch it and you don't get boring. You stay active by interacting with this video. And you also inquire for the information, which I think should help remember everything better. And also, it is not included in this demo, but if the project if a project is big enough, you would have to build it in multiple steps. On each step, you would have to make sure that you didn't miss any part of the code. And this is quite tricky. If the project is big and there is no person that would guide you through it, would help you find the issues with your code, you can easily get stuck because of that. There could be just a small missing part of the application that you just forgot to type and it's not working anymore. So how this format could help is that in the end of the video that builds up to the final project, it could have a similarly organized with file tree viewer, similarly organized diff tool that would let you see, okay, this file is removed, this file is modified, and then you can open this file and see what exactly changed here, and it would actually highlight the added and the removed lines. And that's only the beginning. I think there could be so many amazing interactive parts in this how do you call them? Widgets, micro apps, video apps inside of this video. Imagine that there is a lesson explaining how to install Node.js. Let's say how to install Node.js. And this process is different on Windows, Mac, and Linux machines. On Mac and Linux, it's actually quite similar, but on Windows, it's different. A typical solution to this is to have either one long video where you have to skip parts of it, or it could be a bunch of videos that you again have to navigate through and select the one that is relevant to you. But in this case, in the beginning of the video, there could be a question: what system are you on? Are you on Windows? And you click a button and you continue to the part of the video that explains how to do it on the Windows. And then it converges to a part that is similar to everyone, where you just check the installation and you're on Node-V. I think it's awesome, and that's just one example. It could be quizzes, it could be some interactive not in terms that you can run them, but interactive code explanations where some parts of the code are highlighted, you can click on them, and there would be a hint explaining what it does. I really think that this inquiry-based learning pool approach, where you pull the knowledge from the course, is better than passive consumption. I think it's really awesome. Now I'm going to read some comments. The ingestion. Did you? Yeah, Josh Camus. I didn't get his course, but I saw his articles, and I think they're all amazing. Absolutely mind-blowing attention to detail. All those small animations, I love it. I really like how Josh Camus does his material, so I believe the course should also be awesome. Do you remember Code School before Pluralsight bought them? Yes, I do, and this this upsets me quite a lot. I remember tryruby.org. Is it .org? There was tryruby website, the old one. There is another one right now, but that's not how it used to look like. There is Try and Poignant's Guide to Ruby, styled tryruby tutorial, where on the left side there would be a code example. It's not exactly the same. It's also interactive, which I think was really, really awesome. It has this cute fox character. It was hand-drawn. It was so overwhelmingly cute. It was so fun to go through this tutorial. And Code School, I also remember, they used to have, as you said, a browser-based playground. And I remember that they used to have really nice, really funny intro videos. For example, they had a course, Rails for Zombies, where you would build a Twitter clone, and it would start with a funny tune, blim blim blim, bloom bloom bloom, Rails for Zombies, la la la, something like that. And yeah, after Pluralsight bought them, it's now regular courses. I think this approach is much better than the regular video-based approach. It keeps you engaged, keeps you active. It is frugal in terms of your energy and attention span because it does not put you in a position where you have to choose. Okay, do I just keep watching until the end and then I copy the code? Or do I just skip the whole thing? Like, you don't have this choice that spends a tiny bit of your energy, and it doesn't bring any value. This choice, should I continue watching or not, is kind of useless. It's kind of a waste of a decision. In my opinion, every decision drains some small amount of energy. And if you can avoid making pointless decisions that are not really bringing any value, then you should. This will get you some extra energy that you can spend struggling with the code, which is useful because this will let you learn how it works better. And I want, this February, 1st of February, I want to start a course about React and TypeScript based on this platform. I want it to be project-based. I want it to be as real life as possible. I was imagining that if it's a person that is building a startup or wants to build a startup, or someone who wants to learn web development, then having a pet project that includes payments could be quite exciting. So I thought that building an e-commerce website, basically a shop, is fun and it's universal enough you can adapt it to different sort of projects later. If you know how to make a store and you know how to use a database, here I'm going to use Supabase for that, which is basically Postgres as a service, and Stripe for payments. If you know how to do that with a simple storefront, then probably you will be able to adapt it to whatever pet project where you want to have payments and database. It would be 5 weeks long, where each week would be dedicated to a particular practical skill. So here is the curriculum. The introduction is not really inside of these 5 weeks. It's a little bit in advance. We make sure that we have the development environment set up and the code editor is configured and everything is ready to start learning. And then week 1 is to get you up and running with React and TypeScript. Go through the core concepts of TypeScript, core concepts of React, how to use them together immediately during the first week, so that we have this baseline, some basis, some core set of experience to start adding new knowledge, build up upon it. Then, after we are done with the basics, and the whole idea of the first week is let's do everything at once, but sort of very shallowly. And then later, we add more and more detail. Second week, we focus more on component-based architecture in React. React has a lot of specifics. It's advertised as making building UI easy, but really it's quite tricky. You have to get it right. You have to understand the mechanics. You have to have the right mental model so that you're not surprised when suddenly your application is lagging. Suddenly it's freezing. This is why we're gonna focus the second week on component-based architecture. And also write tests. I think writing tests is often skipped, but it is crucial. Writing tests is a must. It's a skill that anyone who is learning to code should start developing as early as possible. Actually, when I was learning to write tests, I would test everything. I think it's better to err on the side of over-testing and later learn, okay, what do I need to test, what do I don't have to test, and learn to balance it. Then we learn Next.js and server-side rendering. This is where there will be different packages, but this is where the package that includes group calls would actually start having them, because I think first two should be sort of basic, so that they wouldn't really cause too many trouble for people and wouldn't really cause them to want to have live call with the Q&A. But week 3, we're gonna start building the API, creating the routes for this full stack application. Week 4, we integrate Supabase. Again, that week there is also gonna be some calls, some Q&A streams, because I imagine that's going to start to become quite challenging. How to perform CRUD operations with Supabase, how to... It's going to be a little bit more than that, really, because you would have to learn to manage Supabase, not only to integrate it. How to set up the database, a little bit of database basics, not too much, just enough to complete the course. It's not really a database course, so only the necessary information about the databases. And then week 5, the most exciting part, integrating payment processing and deploying the application. I was actually working with Stripe for past half a year now, and I'm really impressed. They have awesome documentation, awesome examples. It is tricky in some way, especially if you're implementing a custom flow where you have custom components inside of the application and not their hosted page. But I think this week is very, very exciting. And for those people who come to today's stream, I'm making a 50% discount as an early birds who came early. So instead of $199 for the starter package, $399 for complete package, and $899 for the premium. And premium is mostly going to be useful for people who want some personal assistance, mentorship, I would say, because it includes cover letter review and mock interview with feedback. All those packages are going to be with a 50% discount. So they're going to be $99, $199, and $499. So now let's have a Q&A session. If anyone is interested in buying this course today, and that's going to be only on this stream, because you came so early, because you came to this stream, I'm going to give 50% discount. Now let's chat. Let's have a Q&A session and see what do we have here. The challenge is always that a lot of people will know bits and pieces of the stack already. That's true. That's the challenge. This is why I plan to have a completed part of the project for the people who don't need this part of the course. So let's say you already know React and TypeScript basics. You want to skip the first 2 weeks of the course, but you still want to continue from somewhere. I will have a project structure already set up for you as if you would complete first 2 weeks, so that you wouldn't have to spend time on something that you already know, because it's boring and it's pointless. I'm gonna post a link to the website into the comments section. I think I can do this. A bunch of time I saw that the links don't really get delivered to YouTube chat. So if you're interested, follow this link. And as you're watching the stream, if you want to try out this course and see how would this course be implemented using this interactive technology, that's also another exciting thing for me, to try doing this interactive, like the good old code school used to do. Then write me a message. I'm gonna write my email, contact@maximivanov.com, and I will give you a coupon for 50% discount. flip the Learn React with TypeScript title. Interesting suggestion. Does it really sound confusing? Learn TypeScript plus React. Maybe I should actually flip it further and say build and deploy a full stack application with payments and admin panel, because that's the main part. We're using this project to learn how to use React and TypeScript. Yeah, you're right. The main part of the title is really much smaller in scope than the course really is. All right, fair enough. This stream, I'm gonna keep the recording, maybe for 1 day, maybe for 2 days, and then I'm gonna remove it. I guess that's it for now. If you're interested, please send me an email, and see you next time. It was nice chatting with you.